we are recording this during the market time, which if you've watched these videos at all, you know it's kind of odd because I like doing everything after market, just so we're not rushing or looking at anything. But today we don't have much to worry about, but we do have a ton of stuff to talk about. All right, so first thing we're going to talk about, Vegas is sold out. How do I know? Well, I'll tell you, I had kind of a crazy week. Sunday night, we were getting, my community, they were getting the asphalt resealed, so we had to move our cars off-site. So what happened Sunday night? I get my car stolen. So that was a fun little thing, and honestly, it sucked. I was definitely down for about 2 days. You know, I wasn't pleasant company for those 2 days, but yesterday afternoon, the San Diego Auto Theft Task Force, didn't even know that was a thing, found my car, and outside of some damage here or there that I have to replace, for example, they broke a shaved key off in my ignition cylinder, so I have to get that replaced. That's at the dealer today. I'm picking that up, and I'll get my car. So I was supposed to have a baseball tournament in Vegas this week, but it was kind of off since I didn't have a car, and in the back of my trunk was all my baseball stuff, so it's kind of hard to go to Vegas to play baseball when you don't have a car to get to Vegas and you don't have any equipment, mitt, bat, helmet, all the stuff like that to actually play baseball. So bought most of that stuff yesterday, but I called up the place that we were going to be staying at, and they are totally sold out. So with that being said, we're going to talk about some stocks today that have been moving today and you need to pay attention to. The reopening, that's point number 2 today, the reopening is in full stride. So specifically, AMC has been massively up, and I told you this, I told you guys this a long time ago, when some of these blockbuster movies are going to be coming out, understand that there's going to be a ridiculous profit margin coming out, because there are going to be some major movies that are coming out in rapid succession. For example, Fast and Furious 9, they call it F9, opened up overseas. It's opening up here the weekend after June 15th, which is to coincide with California being fully open without any restrictions. I'm telling you, get those stocks now because they're going to keep going up. So AMC moved a lot today. GameStop moved up. Let's see, what do they move up today? Take a look at them today. They moved up 32% today, and over the last 2 days, they're up 41%. Or actually, no, I take it back. They're 32% today. AMC is up 42% today. Now, if it's your first time watching this video and you don't know anything about what we talked about, I'd pay attention because you're going to miss out on some stuff coming up. But if you've watched these videos before and you were smart enough to get some of these stocks in place when the price was low, then you know you're going to make a lot of money. So for example, the stock right now is at $19.55. In fact, we'll take a look at, where is AMC here? All right, AMC is at $19.55 right here. And if we look at our holdings, we bought AMC at $2.30. So not a bad profit, basically a 750% gain. And I didn't buy it for $500. I cashed in a bunch when the stock price was really high before, but it's even higher now. So basically $4,000 in free money that we got off AMC. MGM, kind of had a funny thing happen with MGM. We'll take a look at them as well. They should be somewhere near the top. If not today, we'll look over the last couple days. So let's see if we can't find MGM. All right, it'll be in green because I own it. Let's see. Yeah, it went up 2.5% over the last couple days, but it actually had a bump. It probably ran over to the third day because Amazon is rumored to buy MGM Studios. Okay, so they're like, oh my gosh, it would be the largest acquisition Amazon has made, even more than Whole Foods. But really, Whole Foods is the only one that's even been on the scale of this. So would they be buying MGM Casinos, which is what this stock is? The answer is no. But a lot of investors heard MGM and decided to buy MGM, and it went up. Now, that being said, it's probably still a really good buy because it's Vegas, and the summer is going to be off the hook. They're doing a lot of sports betting offline or online as well, so you don't necessarily have to go to the casinos. But we're going to talk about why specifically Vegas and other industries as well, but definitely travel and leisure, entertainment, and Vegas, things like that, are going to be actually priced higher, and they're going to make more profit than they've ever made. And you're going to see some of the biggest quarterly profit reporting. They're going to beat expectations over the next 2 or 3 months. So that's kind of the big topic that we're going to talk about today. The red stocks are coming back. What do I mean by that? Are they the Chinese stocks? Yeah, one of them is, but the rest of them not necessarily. What I mean by that is when we break down my portfolio into travel, entertainment, oil, casino, Biden stocks, and other, we look at travel is up 77% overall. And I think this one's going to jump a lot. You're going to see this up at probably 150% before long. Entertainment's up 77%, but it's basically a mix of AMC and the other two. And I think these are going to go up over the summer as well. Oil's up 200%. Duh. That's what happens when you buy oil when the price of oil was like zero. Casinos are up 150%, and that's including Penn National Gaming. Even though it's not a casino, it is a betting site, so we put it in that category. That's up 150%. But then we look at all the red stocks here, the stuff that that kind of all went down at the same time. So we look at Fubo, again, a great stock. Fundamentally is great. Numbers are great. They're investing in online gambling on their streaming site. I think they're moving in the right direction. This was down over 50% at one point. It's now up to 36, and it will come back and be in the black soon enough. Next ID, they do security for the Internet of Things. So just think of like Alexa and refrigerators and thermostats and TVs and stuff like that, stuff that you can work from your phone. That was close to down 50%. It's now at 30. Skills, which is a gaming company. Again, who was the one? It was the guy that did Jerry Bruckheimer, the guy that did Top Gun. He's one of the board members, and I mean, it's like 100% buy if I remember this right. This was down 40 some odd percent. It's up to negative 22, so moving in the right direction. Verint has just been holding steady, anywhere between negative 9 and negative 3%, but that'll be in the black soon enough. It's a 100% buy rating on Benzinga, so something to think about. And then Fuel Cell was down close to 50%. It's now up to 39%, but moving in the right direction. But the weird thing is, it seems like whenever these same stocks kind of travel in the same direction, and they don't really have anything to do with each other. So whether it's Fubo, FCAL, FTFT, Skills, or Blink Energy, like if one of them's down 8%, it seems like they're all down 8 to 10%. And if one of them's up 10%, it seems like they're all up 10%. And I'd love to sit here and say, hey, I figured it out. What does a streaming company, an electric battery maker, a cryptocurrency blockchain finance payment technology company, a gaming company, a software company, and I guess another electric charging station, why do they all move in the same direction and the same degree of change? Well, I don't know. I really don't know, and I'm not sure why. It's just the weirdest thing out there. So with that being said, I'm just going to show you kind of a number that I look at. So we are sitting here at an overall, we're sitting at about 172,000. If we liquidated everything today, and that paid off the margins and everything, we own 233. We have 61 in margin. And that basically what we're looking at is if we had this back to zero, we'd look at, if we had these red ones back to zero, where would we be sitting at? So 3,000 there, 4,000 there, we're at 7,000, another 3,000, that's 10,000, 2,000, 12,000, 14,000, call it 16,000, just round it off right there. It used to be at 22,000, so we've gained back 6,000 on these, but if we added another 16,000 here, we'd be sitting at 187,000. When I bought these, we were about 170,000, so we've moved up pretty nicely. So when these go back into kind of break-even territory, we have sell orders on most of these, but we're waiting for big gains. Like these are stocks that when they move up really fast. And I'm looking for a gain. We're going to have if they have a gain of, let's say, 24% on a given day, which we have had, it's a crazy amount. But for these stocks, they have shown that potential. Once they cross over the zero threshold, we're going to sell them. All right. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about, and this really explains a lot of what's going on right now in the economy. So you'll hear a lot of stuff about chip shortages, gasoline shortages. Of course, we kind of know without reason for lumber shortages. I mean, there was some stuff I saw this morning. I can't remember what it was, but it seems like there's shortages in everything. So the reason that is in economics, they have a term called a demand shock. And what it means is when demand all of a sudden goes, it could be down or up, but generally when you say demand shock, it means up. it means the price of that item spikes precipitously. So for example, if when I was down in Florida, when a hurricane hit Miami and it wiped out part of the city, there was a massive demand shock for generators. And so these scummy people from Georgia and South Carolina would rent out 24-foot semis, and they would basically, like moving trucks basically, and they would basically fill them with generators, drive them down to Miami, and sell them. Now they'd buy them for 150 bucks, and they'd sell them for like 1,000, and they would totally bleed people dry. But because there was a demand shock for electricity generation, these people gladly paid it. So what does that have to do with the economy now? Well, when you look at the fact, and we talked about this in a prior video, if you look at the fact that you have all this stuff reopening, states reopening, you have supply chain issues. And so, for example, if you're a restaurant, like, oh, this is one of the things they were talking about the other day. They said even the wine industry is having trouble bringing wines to market, not because of the wines necessarily, but because the bottle makers have a hard time filling supply up because of employees. And so when you have the government competing with businesses for wages, which is a really weird topic, but let's say that a person made $15 an hour and the COVID pandemic hit and they were unemployed, the government stepped in and said, we're going to bonus up your unemployment. And what happened is they don't do it based on what you make, they just do a flat number, and it turns out that these people are actually making more money sitting at home than they would if they worked. Now, this is a really stupid idea, because if I'm a business owner and I said, hey, great news, our restaurant's open and we want you to come back, let's go, we'll give you some hours, we'll make some money, and the person goes, nah, I'd rather watch Judge Judy and sit on my butt, but I'll tell you what, when the unemployment stops, then I'll come back. Well, if I'm the business owner, I will hire anybody except that person for that job, because look, I'm here for you, I'm being loyal to you, I've basically said I'm not even going to interview for your job, come back and you have your job, and you're sitting here saying, I don't think so, I'm going to try to bleed the government out of more money, and in the meantime, I'm going to make your job much harder. You're not going to get a job. But in the end, these people have a hard time getting people to start. And like I saw something on TV today where this one company was, if you were hired with them, they would give you an iPhone, which is just nuts, right? I mean, that's like $800. They're giving hiring bonuses. And they're having a hard time doing it. So one of the things that happens is you get a supply shock, and that it's hard for these businesses, especially supply chain businesses, to actually supply what's needed for things that are downstream. So for example, let's say that you are somebody that, I don't know, you make beer bottles. Well, the brewery can't really sell their beer, or maybe you make cans. They can't sell cans if they don't have cans and bottles to put them in. And so as a result, the amount of beer that's out there goes down, the supply goes down. Well, if you look at the old supply and demand X, if you have something where the supply of that commodity, in other words, a beer bottle, goes down, then the point of convergence on that X, this is actually going down because it goes to the left, the price of it goes up. But it's not always a flat X. Sometimes it's like that. And when you have a demand shock, that X isn't this, it's like this, right? Or maybe it's like this, where the price goes up a lot faster than it'll go down. And so what's happening is, because they only have so much supply and they have much more demand for their products, they can afford to charge a lot more. And if you think that these guys that have had the last year losing money hand over fist in the pandemic aren't going to absolutely charge, prices for their products that aren't even like gouge level product prices, then you're insane. And like I told you at the beginning, Vegas is sold out. I tried to get a hotel room where my team was staying, and they're sold out. I guarantee you right now that the price they're getting for each room, because there's only so much supply, is probably double what they normally get, or significantly higher than they normally get. So with that being said, why does that impact us? Well, every quarter, these companies, these publicly traded companies, have to give earnings forecasts, right? And they'll give an estimate or they'll give a forecast, whether it's going down or forward guidance. And you have all these analysts that say, we think that they're going to, their estimate, the company estimates that they're going to have $1 per share in revenue or profit, whatever it is. And then you have these analysts that say, well, we agree, or we think it's higher, or we think it's lower. Well, when you look at a demand shock, these analysts can't really price in or have a sense on what those prices are. They can maybe guess, but what you're going to be looking at is you're going to be looking at this demand shock as bringing the revenue is going to go through the roof. And basically, there's a choice of one of two things. You can have a limited supply and you can massively increase the price. And we've seen that with lumber and chips and all the other things like that, because you got to pay more to get that limited supply. Otherwise, you get left out in the cold. Or they bring those employees back, they can actually make more things, and they might have the price per unit is a little bit less, but they make overall more money because they're getting more revenue as a whole. And you're seeing that with the governors, where each state is starting to eliminate that bonus unemployment incentive because they want people to go back to work. And some states are actually being proactive on it and saying, if you get hired and you go off unemployment, we'll actually give you a bonus, right? Some are saying, if you decide to get off unemployment even without a job, we'll give you a bonus. So this is coming to a head, but what you're going to see is you're going to see a massive revenue spike for some of these companies that these analysts aren't going to predict, because they're not going to put their job on the line and say, hey, we think this stock should be priced at $80 per share, and then it really comes out where the price comes out to be $62 a share, and the people that follow their advice lose a ton of money, or at the very least are very disappointed in the results. So they're going to underpromise and overdeliver. But mark my words, with this demand shock, you're going to see a massive revenue spike. Maybe not in this quarter, maybe in the next quarter, and that's about my stolen car. But you're going to see that, I would say, Q2 for sure to a point, but I think Q3, which is July, August, and September, 2 of the 3 summer months where people are going on vacation, especially August, you're going to see a massive jump. So with that being said, take a look at our overall numbers. The only thing in the red outside of our red stocks, Corsair is kind of a red stock. That's going to be in the black pretty soon. Cinemark, it's a movie theater. This one's going to spike pretty soon for sure. I would definitely buy that if you don't already have it. And the only other one is Verint, but that's going to be fine. That's going to go up at some point in time. Other than that, we're in the black on everything. So we're sitting here at 233,000, 234,000 overall holdings. Basically, we had a gain of about $7,000 to $8,000 today. Total net amount, if we liquidate today, is 172 for an overall gain of 139. It's basically a 414% gain, which is just awesome, awesome, awesome. Biggest movers of the last day, GameStop, obviously, but then most of the stocks that are the biggest movers we own, which is kind of a great thing to be. It's not always the case, and we've had days where this has definitely not been the case, but it's nice to see that our hold strategy, we're not moving, we're not selling, we're not being emotional. We have a goal, and we're not moving until we hit that goal comes into play. Never sell high or never sell low and buy high. It's quite the opposite. On the other hand, really, with all the stocks that, we don't count ones that are at negative 0 point something percent. We only have 2 stocks that went down. RDI went down and Bitcoin went down, or Bitcoin Cash went down. Now, overall, last 2 days, same thing. Most of the stocks that went down the most we don't own. Bitcoin Cash is really the only one that's there. And then the ones that went up the most, again, we own most of them. So with that being said, kind of an overall view of what we're looking for. We're still approaching, wanting to get around 292,000. We're 60% of the way there. And I would say this, with the summer coming up and everything I talked about, revenue spikes, reopening, demand shock, inflation's going up, prices of things are going up, I think it's going to work to our advantage. So I guess my overall advice is, man, if you're even thinking of getting certain stocks, get them, okay? If you have a question about an individual stock, message me, put a comment in there, and I'll be glad to get back to you on that. But I'm telling you right now, we've been patient on the last few months. In fact, I was looking at this the other day. Take a look at this. So overall, it went up, 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 and then we look at the last 3 months, and it's been super uneven. So in fact, I think this one shows a little bit better. It's going up, 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 and then it's just been down and up and down and up. But you weather this storm. We bought a couple stocks here, and I think you're going to see this positive momentum, and it might actually spike at a higher rate than what we've seen here. So with that being said, my goal is to get out of the market by the end of the third quarter, sometime in the beginning of the fourth quarter. Again, you need an exit strategy. I'm not sitting here riding it until, the wheels come off. I'm going to ride it until I think that the upside from the reopening comes. and then we're going to liquidate the heck out of it. And the only downside is my tax bill next year is going to suck. So save some money for taxes if you haven't done that. So anything other than that, send me a question. But we covered a lot today. Reopening's going crazy. Movie theaters are going to blow up. Red stocks are coming back finally. Demand shock, and Vegas sold out. Anything else you want me to cover? Any questions? Let me know. See you soon. To get more information on the sales cheat code, go ahead and click on the subscribe button below. Also, down below in the video description, down there, there's a link that takes you to our website that gives you additional content, some additional freebies that we have, and gives you information on some programs that we have that have been proven to help people to make sales easy so that you can make the kind of money you want, live the lifestyle that you've always wanted, and not have to struggle in the process. And what might be the coolest thing of all is you don't have to put much effort into it. It truly is a cheat code that most people don't know about. And it's a cheat code that can change your life today. So click on the link below and let me help you start to experience these results starting right now.